Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash is finally out. This is the newest 2v2 arena fighter made by Bandai, who you may all know from the My Hero One's Justice series. But with this game, things are quite different, and the game has received mixed reviews. So today, we're going to be looking at the game. My name is Webhead, and this is Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash. When you first get control of a character, I'll be honest, the controls feel super heavy and stiff. Every attack you do has a ton of recovery, but that's not all that has super long recovery. If you get knocked down, and you will get knocked down a lot, the recovery is also just as long. These factors really do slow down the gameplay, but the good news is that it doesn't take that long to get used to. You have your jump, double jump, super jump, and a dash for movement that you can either hold until the stamina bar runs out, or just tap to do a quick dash. You also have a sidestep you can use while blocking, but this has to be one of the worst sidesteps I have ever seen in any arena fighter, and 10 times out of 10, dashing away or holding block is going to be the better option. Getting used to the movement is key, since these buttons are pretty floaty, but there's good reason for it. On a lot of the maps, they have buildings and other obstacles that need the floatiness to get up to. Otherwise, you could end up kicking an opponent onto one of these buildings, and you wouldn't be able to reach them, and they could just spam projectiles. Next, let's talk about attacking. Each character has 6 attack buttons, but none of these do damage. In the game, the only attacks that do damage to the opponent are cursed techniques. But to do these, you need meter, and to build meter, you use those 6 attack buttons. The sad part is, even though you have all of these attack buttons, you really can't combo them together that well, unless you get a wall bounce off on your opponent. There are some exceptions to this, like Itadori or Fushiguro, but the vast majority of the roster just can't combo. Each character does have an auto combo though. If you keep pressing the attack button, your character will do an auto combo, and providing that you have the meter for it, these auto combos will always end with a cursed technique, so you can build meter and do damage at the same time. Each character in the game also has an awakened move. This is pretty much an ultimate attack that you can do if you have full meter. These attacks are unblockable and do a ton of damage. Something else I would like to mention is how unique each character feels. Bandai is known for how unique they make characters in their games, and JJK Cursed Clash is no exception. Let me give you an example. Panda. One of Panda's cursed techniques is that he transforms into his gorilla mode. While in this form, he has constant super armor, but also any attack Panda does while in this form will do health damage. This is just one of many examples of a unique character, since no two characters in this game feel the same, and I like that. While visually, they look nice, and the maps are destructible, which I always like in arena fighters, these are some of the worst aspects of the game. They promote a runaway and spam long range attack kind of playstyle, but that's not all. There are some maps with obstacles, like these pillars, that are not destructible, so players can use these as a permanent shield if they wanted to. Let me show you. Right now, I'm about to use Sukuna's Fire Arrow. This attack costs a lot of meter, but does a ton of damage. But if my opponent is hiding behind one of these pillars, they won't take any damage whatsoever, and these can be used this way for pretty much any projectile-based attack. So characters like Jogo really struggle on these kind of maps. The game has a total of 16 characters, which isn't that big, but also this isn't a bad thing, since everyone here is so unique and different. Like Sukuna, he is extremely slow, but he hits like an isekai truck, and has super armor on most of his attacks, making you think before rushing in to attack him. Or Jogo, who is one of the only pure zoners in the game. He can attack from a distance, but also he can set up traps on the map. These are just some of the many examples of unique characters. I've seen people complain about the size of the roster, and those people are just ignorant. If the characters are unique enough, which they most definitely are, then a small roster doesn't really matter. Plus we know that there is going to be DLC for the game. Hidden Inventory's already been announced, so that's 2 new characters already that we've got confirmed. And the other DLCs are going to add more characters. So again, the people who complain about this kind of stuff are just kind of dumb. The story mode for Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash follows the first season of the anime and Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and uses the classic biking formula, which is a slideshow of screenshots from the anime with text and voiceover that leads to a fight. Sometimes we get a cutscene, and these cutscenes are great, but they just kind of show up randomly when they do happen, and as usual for biking, each story mission we get where we have to fight, there are also challenges we can do in the fight to earn some extra rewards, like in-game currency and other stuff. My issue with these challenges are, most people will end up doing a majority of these without even trying, because they are that easy. And most missions use the same challenges with some exception. Don't die more than 3 or less times in a mission, and finish the fight with a cursed technique. Because of the way the game works, you can only do damage with cursed techniques, so it's the only way to win a fight, making this challenge redundant. In the story mode too, we also have this area for relationships. By doing missions in story mode, you can build relationships between characters to earn rewards. But to me, this feels very pointless, and feels like it was just thrown into the game to try and fill it out. Over my time playing the story mode, I only went into this area twice. The first time when I was curious to see what it was, and the second time when I'd 100%ed story mode to get all the rewards from it. But overall, this story mode is a standard but lazy one, and is too easy to finish besides one EX mission you unlock after finishing the story mode. I assume the budget was an issue, but I feel like they could have done so much more with the story mode. But then again, this is a classic biking story mode. It's not great, but it is something. This is your standard offline mode. You can use it to fight the CPU, or you can use it for training mode. It has all the options you could want, like setting how much cursed energy the CPU has, and it shows you how much damage your combos are doing. But there are two very big things that I hate in here. Number one, there's no local multiplayer, so that already kills the potential for offline tournaments. And two, this menu. This menu is so bad. It looks like an Excel sheet. You could say, web, maybe they were crunched for time. But we already have an infinitely better character select screen in the online section. I don't understand why they couldn't have just used that one. But other than these two issues, that's it for online content besides the story mode. And it's kind of disappointing, to be honest. In this mode, you have two options, Rush mode and Survival mode. These are pretty much the same thing, but Survival mode is a much harder version of Rush mode. In these modes, you can do them online with a friend or random, or you can do it with the CPU. In this mode, you'll do 3 waves of 3 fights, one after another, with the third of each wave being a character from the game. By completing these, you get XP and money that you can use to level up a character or buy equipment to make them stronger for this mode. This is a huge grind if you want to get everything out of it. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I like this mode and think it's pretty fun. But it does get repetitive very quickly. So if I were you, do this mode in small bursts at a time, otherwise you'll probably end up just hating it. This is where a majority of your time will be spent, and is going to be your main source of enjoyment from this game, which is probably why they put it first in the menu. It's your standard online. You have ranked and exhibition. Sadly, there's no solo mode, but this is a 2v2 type game, so did you really expect that? Anyway, the first few days, this game was having terrible network issues, and you couldn't even get into any matches, or you could, but they'd just disconnect. But things seem to have been fixed for now, and is working perfectly fine. Something biking is known for is their god tier netcode. Even though it's delay based, it works perfectly. There are times where you'll get matched with someone, and they'll have such a bad connection that it turns your ranked match into a PowerPoint. But these are rare, and I've had a majority of my matches online go perfectly fine. Over here we like to rate things out of 10, so overall my rating for this game is 4 Weaver Rings out of 10. I 100% think that there will be people out there who absolutely love this game. There are times where I'm having fun in this game too, and I can see the potential this game could have, But for that to happen, core mechanics need to be reworked, like how slow and heavy everything feels, and the maps need those obstacles to be destructible. But that realistically is something that can't be fixed without a lot of work, and sadly would probably cost biking more than it's worth, alongside all the other stuff like lazy story mode, lack of any real offline content, and network issues. Overall, this game does feel like a huge step back for biking, and hopefully this is a one-time thing for the developer, putting out a game that feels as rushed as Jujutsu Kaisen is. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you next time.